It's the Playhouse Podcast with Kat and JJ.
Can't believe it. I missed everything.
Missed the show?
What am I going to do?
Check out the Daily Podcast.
Our favorite moments of the week are dead ahead, including the guy I rolled up on, sitting at the side of the road, puking his guts out in the ditch. If you missed why this was, I've never been part of anything like this before in my life. It was crazy. That's coming up in the podcast. And again, all our other favorite moments of the week. So let's go. It is now time for another gas station story with Kat.
I do find myself at gas stations often, right?
There's always a story. Now, what I want you to do is keep an eye out at every local gas station for a lonely-looking woman sitting on that little bench, staring out the window at the gas pumps, eating by herself, likely something off a roller. Does this have anything to do with any of that?
No,
Okay.
and I did it once, and you got to let it go, all right? I haven't done it since. And
Nothing
if I
says
do,
sad
I'll never let you know.
like that.
But you know how if you run into like an old person and they're really racist and they just think everybody thinks like them, you know, and they'll like make a comment and look at you like they're right.
Like
Have you ever
should
had
be
that?
laughing at their racism?
Yeah, or like they say something off color or like something that's not normal to say in public, and they're always like, right.
They get away with it because they're old.
Right, yeah. So I went and had to pick up like a little pack of candy. Liam has a birthday to go to. And so I'm standing in the candy aisle, and there were like 4 or 5 kids that were around his age, like 12, 13.
They were all in there stealing.
No, they were all crouched down. Like this is one of the biggest decisions in their life. You know what I mean? Don't get the wrong candy because your mom says go pick out one. You only have one. So it boils down to the right decision. So they're all crouched down, covering basically the bottom 2 rows. So I'm giving them space. I'm hanging out. And then this guy comes up, must have been mid 50s, early 60s. And he just looked at me and he was just like, God, they're the worst. Like just saying anybody that age, they're just the worst. I'm like, listen, my kid is great. He has awesome friends. And so I'm not going to hop on board that. So, but he just kept like rolling his eyes and making
wanted
little
candy
comments.
too? Is that it?
Yeah, he was waiting for a Clark bar.
Some Werthers.
Yeah, he was like, I just want to get my Clark bar. And I'm like, well, I can grab it for you. He's like, no, I'll wait. But it's like they take forever. Like this is a scenario that he runs into often where just a ton of tweens are getting candy.
It's not
and
like
he can't get his
gangs
Clark bar.
had overrun his neighborhood. Like there were just some
You would
kids
think,
trying to
though.
get some candy.
You would think that this is a scenario that happens all the time to him and he just wants other people to be as ticked off as him. But it was just another gas station story, you know. I run into so many different people at gas stations.
I guess I have this genuine appreciation of the differences in people. Like if they're going to take 45 minutes and I can't get through, I would have been like, guys, can I just grab something real quick?
Mm-hmm.
But I can't imagine just like, I've never understood the hating on someone you don't know.
Right.
Like that one, there's
and I
a lot
wasn't
of...
in a hurry. I understood. Like I looked at him like that. This is the big decision for the day. I'm going to let them think about it. You know, I have nowhere to be real fast. So I let them. But this guy, it was, if you're one of those that, but you don't even know, you know.
I think they do.
You think that they're conscious enough of
For sure.
their behavior and what they say to people? I don't know about that. I have a few people like that in my life, and I'm like, I don't think they know. I don't think they know, even though I've told them multiple times, don't say stuff like that. I don't think they know.
Everybody in their life has that old person who just doesn't care what they say anymore.
Yeah.
They don't care. They get either super racist. They're always against something. It's the government, and it's always somebody that's not like you.
Yeah.
Because they think, hey, I've made it this long. Everybody should be like me.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how that
Not
works.
gonna be the world,
I don't
not
think
gonna
I'm
be
going to
the
get
case.
there. But that has been another great cat gas station story.
Oh, thank you.
Another one soon. Stay tuned. My daughter is a junior in college. She has a couple of friends that went to Japan for spring break. And that's a big deal when you're in college to be able to make that kind of a trip. Now, I'm not saying a lot of her friends don't have parents with money, so let's just start there. So they go to Japan. They're hanging out. They're seeing the sights. They're being, touristy kind of people. They decide one day they're going to go on a hike, right? They're going to get up in the hills. Mm-hmm. She snaps her ankle, like a very, very bad break. She's now going to be there recovering for 6 weeks.
So someone had texted a good question. Why can't she just get a cast on and go home?
For whatever reason, they're there for 6 weeks. That's all I know. I don't know the details on that.
Okay.
So she's recovering in a hospital in Japan for 6 weeks. So I've got 2 questions. Number one, anybody ever been injured in a foreign country, and what was so different about it? Number 2, this guy's the boyfriend, not a fiance, not a husband. Does he have to stay with her? That's 6 weeks off of his life. Now, he's in school.
Oh, yeah. Okay. So, no. And I wouldn't feel right about having someone stay there.
Now, if it was your husband, probably got to stay with me, right?
If it won't we need the money to pay for what is happening. So if
you're going to leave somebody alone
work,
by themselves in Japan for 6 weeks.
I'm an adult female. I can handle myself.
She's 19 or 21.
But I'm saying I'm an adult female. My husband is going home. My husband will go home, take care of the house, bills, and go to work. Because who knows what this is going to do monetary wise. Could this devastate somebody?
I don't think either of these people are hurting for money, but
They're
6 weeks.
college students.
Right. But 6 weeks of classes, 6 weeks of friends when you're 21, 6 weeks of, the end of the spring semester.
Yeah.
These guys are graduating in a year. He needs these credits.
He's graduating in a year.
Maybe.
I'm sure there will be an allowance by where she goes to college. They're going to say, wow, these are weird circumstances, unforeseen, obviously.
Some profs are hard asses and they don't care.
This is a different thing that they probably have never dealt with. And if they have, maybe they have an idea of how to do it. But they're not going to have a student fall that far behind when they're willing to do the work across seas.
Felicia, thoughts on this?
So my husband was stationed in Japan, and I ended up in a Japanese hospital in ICU. I kid you not.
Oh, my God.
The room was no bigger than a gas station bathroom.
That's what they had said. The rooms are super small.
Yes. Not like the handicap stall. No, this was just like a regular stall in the bathroom.
Wow.
They kicked my spouse out.
Oh.
They kicked the translator out. Nobody was allowed to stay with me.
Interesting.
So what ended up happening? Did he stay at a hotel? Did he leave and go back home?
We were fortunate enough that he was stationed close to the base he was stationed at was close enough by that he could come back and visit. But our daughter was 7 at the time, so schematics between work and making sure she was taken care of and in school and all of that definitely wasn't easy on him. So we had definitely more things in our favor than this poor young lady does, but it was still a nightmare.
I mean, it's a nightmare to be in a foreign country and to get hurt. And I mean, like everybody complains about, our healthcare system here until you get to a place where it's either different or less. And then you're like, oh, my God, we had it so good back in the States. So, I guess my big question is, does he have to stay with her, in your opinion? Does he have to stay out these 6 weeks, or can he go home?
He should go home.
Yeah.
If he can afford to stay and it's not going to affect his studies, power to him. But at the end of the day, you're just a boyfriend. Unless you've been together for 10 years... Dude, go home. Take care of what you can at home.
And what is he going to do? They're just going to get on each other's nerves in a very small room. And, what if they end up breaking up?
Even let him in to see her.
I can't imagine,
bedridden in the hospital.
But, maybe it's because I grew up in a military family and there's that always don't leave a soldier behind thing in my head, never leave a friend behind. I could not imagine leaving somebody, even if they just are a boyfriend or a girlfriend, in a foreign country for another month and a half to heal without staying there. And I'm not the most noble guy in the history of the world, but I would have a tough time leaving somebody behind in Japan.
You wouldn't be able to leave Trisha behind.
Definitely not an easy
Trisha,
decision.
I could.
Oh,
not like a friend,
people.
not like a friend. But I just leaving somebody behind for 6 weeks. It doesn't sound big when you say it's 6 weeks, but it's a month and a half. That means she's not back until May. Like, she's not back until almost Mother's Day.
That's terrifying.
I know.
For her being young.
Right? And she doesn't speak the language, right?
And she could be agreeing.
That's the worst part, because their language can sometimes come off as very intimidating.
Yeah, and they don't have like a
medical professionals,
a hospital translator for you, or they could be talking this 19-year-old girl into something that will cost her a lot of money.
She'll end up with a lobotomy.
Yeah.
The one thing that is really good is that Japanese healthcare, insurance-wise, they are leaps and bounds above where we are.
All right.
Okay.
Well, this is interesting. I'm assuming as soon as we said it's Japan, you're laid up in the hospital, you were like, oh, my God, this is hitting a little close to home.
I don't envy her or the boyfriend. I can't even imagine. She's got to be just terrified.
I want to get your thoughts on what's going on with Ashley, because you're a little upset, right?
Yeah, I'm actually really so heated about this. We were out of the bar the other night having a good time, and this freaking random dude grabs my ass in front of my boyfriend. I even tell him about it. He doesn't do anything.
Wow.
Literally nothing.
What does that say? Doesn't that just automatically say to you that there's like the interest is fading? That's what I get.
Well, I mean, you don't want this guy to shoot somebody or stab somebody. I mean, were you thinking that he was going to punch him or at least yell at him or what?
I just wanted him to freaking defend my honor.
Yes.
To tell him to keep his hands to yourself.
Yep.
And what does your boyfriend say when you told him how mad you were?
And he just said, I'm just trying to avoid violence, baby. I love you. You're a modern woman.
This is interesting.
It's the fact that someone touched, and I hate using this word, but his property. Like, he loves you. You are his. If a girl touched him, he's yours. You would have said something.
I would have said something.
all over that.
Yeah. Hoops off, Vaseline the face.
So the question really is he wrong for just completely walking away here? Should have there been some kind of confrontation? Like, if he'd at least yelled at the guy, that would have made you happy?
Yes, if he'd have said, back the off, dude.
Yeah.
Or step away. That's modern. That's a modern woman. I will let you defend me. That's modern, in my opinion.
So let's turn this over to listeners right now. As you're listening to this, especially if you're a woman, how would have you wanted your guy to respond to this?
So I would want him to respond with, what do you think you're doing? However, I have a man that is not confrontational in that way, where it might lead to him getting hurt. But I think he would be supportive, like, man, I see why he would hit on you. You're looking good today.
Kim, how would have you wanted your man to respond to this action?
Well, I would have expected him to say something. I mean, maybe not go, try and be violent with him. But my question would be, what did she do? Did she stick up for herself? Did she say something?
Okay.
I was just recently in Florida and had some old drunken man at the bar making some inappropriate comments to me. And my partner was there, and he's pretty passive. He didn't hear it, but I stuck up for myself. He had said something about his schmutz to me, and I was just like, that's rude. Don't talk.
He said something about his... Is
that what you call it? I've never heard it called that way.
Did you say schmutz?
No, I just didn't know if I could say it on the radio.
Oh, well, you're the best.
I get it.
You.
Okay, now I get what you're saying. I fully understand. Yep.
Right,
okay. Anyways, and so you stand up for yourself. But now let's just say your partner would have heard this. What would have you wanted that response to be?
I would have wanted him to say something like, hey, don't talk to my lady like that.
Right.
Afterwards, I told him what he said, and he's like, oh, that wasn't that bad. And I was like, yes, it was. It was in front of you. That's rude. That is not okay for somebody to do that or behave that way.
I like that. So you're like, all right, take action yourself and hope you get some backup.
Right, absolutely.
Yeah, gotcha.
He should have said something to her.
Yeah,
sometimes it is a big impact when a woman will stick up for herself. And I don't live for it, but I love to embarrass men because they come off so in your face and cocky. If they were to say, I don't embarrass a guy just because, but if they are saying stuff about their stuff in front of me and it is bothering me, you just got to, make a comment about how you can't quite see it because it's so small. You know what I mean?
Whoa.
Like, you got to hit him where it hurts.
Kat's got preloaded responses for this
Heck
stuff.
yeah, I do.
All right, good stuff. Hey, thanks, Kim. I appreciate your call. I hope you have a great morning. Wednesday and Thursday, my daughter's going to Nashville. My son's going to Arizona for a golf trip with his friends. And I hadn't really got a little bit wigged out about them flying until Kat was like, listen to what these airline pilots are doing with air traffic control.
Hey there. I pull you up on my number 2 radio, and I was like, hey, is it inappropriate to ask for a controller's number?
Wait, say it one more time?
You want to send me a text sometime?
Sure, I'm married.
I'm not interested like that, but figured you had a personality.
Yeah.
It's kind of rare.
Nope. That's when guys get shot down. So
Yeah.
again,
I mean, I didn't want your number. I felt like you wanted my number, and the gaslighting continues.
I wasn't offended when the guy who finished our roof last year started hitting on my wife. That didn't offend me. But you got the airplane with 400 people on it.
Yeah.
Just get the wheels on the ground and then walk over to air traffic control and be like, oh, were you the sexy voice I heard on the radio? Are you married? You know, how about we do that on your time?
And here I am out of this side of my mouth. I'm like, guys aren't as forward as they should be. But like, I need you to be on the ground. You know what I mean? Be forward on the ground.
Even if you're taxiing at 12 miles an hour.
Yeah.
Fine.
You need Foxtrot, Alpha, whatever. These are the words I want to hear. I don't want to hear you hitting on anybody.
When I'm at 312 miles an hour on the approach, how about we focus on the runway?
Yeah, too much can go wrong. What has gone wrong on a flight that you've been on?
Morning, Jordan. How are you?
Good morning. Good.
On a scale of 1 to 100, how freaked out are we about to get?
Probably about 95.
Oh, my God. What happened?
So on a flight out of like California, we had to go over some mountains. It was about 3 years ago, so high winds. And I look over, there's a woman, her baby, a guy sitting next to him. Nobody's by me. We hit the turbulence, and all the baggage claim doors open. The bathroom door flies open. The man sitting next to the baby is gripping onto the chairs. I look over at her, and she's just about ready to cry with the baby, like, wrapped into everything. And then she reaches over, grabs my hand.
Oh, are you one that stays pretty calm and cool and collected? Like JJ was just like sleeping, and we're all over the place.
I just can't, like, listen, if it's going to happen, it's going to happen. I've come to that terms. I've gotten old enough now where, like, if I'm going to go down in a fiery plane crash, there's not a damn thing I can do about it. So I'm for sure not getting wigged out my last couple of seconds on this plane.
Exactly. Like this whole time I was telling the story just now, I'm smiling. I mean,
yeah. Now, but the cool part about this is that you were such a calming presence that an absolute stranger in their biggest moment of distress grabbed for your hand.
Yeah, we need people like you.
Right. Yeah, I knew for sure that I was going to help the mom, like, cradle the baby if we went down. That's for sure.
So in your last moments on this planet, you were going to do everything you could, even though you know it wasn't going to do any good, but you were going to try and protect that baby.
Yeah.
And
so that's probably out of all of my traveling, and I've traveled many times for work, for pleasure, all that. That was probably the most intense where I went, well, this was the fun ride. All right.
Yeah.
I had a plane ride where I was from Vegas to Phoenix. We just had to just bop over real quick. And we hit the ground so hard on landing that the little masks came down. And that's the only time that I had been like, what just almost happened? You know what I mean? Like, it's like a 40-minute flight, and we came in just so hot. And it was one of those where, like, would they slow down so fast that you just move and, like, you almost headbutt the seat in front of you, and then the masks came down. But luckily, I was pretty tipsy at the time, so I didn't really analyze what was going on until I sobered up. So
out of this whole conversation, that when you land, you don't clap at the fact that you are on the ground.
If the baggage doors pop open and everything like that, then I'm probably in for the clap.
Also, it takes something where you face death for you to really appreciate. That's sick. You need to appreciate life all the time.
JJ, are you sure that pilot wasn't the one flirting with the air traffic?
He could have been. We had a couple of...
He just got distracted and forgot the brake.
We came back from Phoenix to Minneapolis, and it was a late flight, and the two knuckleheads that were up front flying the plane kept chiming in. Like, it was like a 8 p.m. flight, so people were trying to catch some sleep. They'd keep coming on, and they'd be like... my co-pilot just told me this amazing joke. Here's Greg. And he'd be like, hey, everybody, it's Greg. Like, it was like they were running a comedy club up front. And I was like, again, can we have both hands on the wheel? I really don't mind.
You won't, that's where you'll see a no mess cat. Like, don't mess around. You know, I'll get so serious so quick. You don't want to travel with me.
Yeah.
I'm not.
Yeah.
Okay, you want to hear why this guy was puking?
Yes.
So, yesterday, I'm on my way home, going to grab some lunch, take care of a couple things before baseball practice. I see this truck pulled over on the side of the road, and I'm like, oh, he's probably got problems. Maybe I can give him a ride to the next town, whatever the deal is. And I pull over, and as I'm approaching this truck, I see this guy dressed really nicely, kind of business attire, just puking his guts out in the ditch. And I'm like, dude, are you all right? And he goes, yeah, it's family problems.
Oh, no.
And
so he was like stress barfing or like.
You'll know when I get to it here. And I go, anything I can do for you? Do you need a ride anywhere? Now, if I've got anything going on in my life, I prefer, and this is my old man in me, to gut it and take care of it myself. Rarely will I tell a stranger about anything. I'd never seen this man in my entire life. And he goes, I went home to grab something and found my wife with our elderly neighbor.
Oh, his world fell apart.
And and I said, oh my God, I'm so sorry. Is there anything I can do? And then he goes, this guy is Clint Eastwood old. That was the phrase he used. He's Clint Eastwood old.
Does he have Clint Eastwood money? That's the only way I'd get with him.
I don't know. And again, just judging by his age, I'm guessing his wife was probably also in her early to mid 30s.
No.
And he walked in on his wife and Clint Eastwood, old guy, the neighbor.
This man on the side of the road
told me this. And I'm like, what do you say? I was absolutely just blown away. I was like, I'm so sorry. Like, all I could offer him was a ride somewhere.
Wow.
And he goes, no, I'll pull it together. And I said, you're sure everything's all right? And he goes, yeah. But he was physically puking his guts out.
Wow.
Because he had went home to grab something midday. And this is 12:30. Walks in on the wife and grandpa.
Yeah, what a visual.
And that's all I could think about the rest. I woke up, first thought, before I even got in the shower this morning. I'm like, I wonder how that guy's doing this morning.
I've never had something like that trigger a vomit reflex of just seeing something. Like Liam had that at Disney.
Yeah.
Where we were at the old-fashioned drive-in movie diner, and you got to sit in like a fake car and watch a show. And they brought a burger, and the burger had onions. He didn't even eat it. He didn't bite it. He just looked at it and projectile vomited.
I felt so bad for that guy. It broke my heart.
What would...
Seemed like a nice dude.
What would do it for you that your body would... Probably any terrible news about your family.
Yeah, right. I mean, that's obviously... But like a compound fracture... when I was playing football, I played with a guy that had a compound fracture of his, whatever, is a tibia or fibia, but it's like that shin bone.
Yeah.
And it poked through the skin. And that got me to the point where I had to walk away. I was going to throw up.
Oh, man. I wonder what would do it for me, because I watch Dr. Pimple Popper.
I can watch that.
I can watch people vomit. Like, I watched that Tracy Morgan video too many times. So I don't know what it would take, but probably like you, bad family news, but
so
poor guy.
Yeah, I woke up this. So if you're listening, I don't know what his name is. Obviously, I didn't ask. I didn't want to know any more information. You know what I mean? But hang in there, brother. Like, that's all I could say was like, all right, it's going to be okay. Fully well knowing it's not going to be okay for a long time. Like, it's going to be a rough moment in this man's life.
I can't imagine going home to a dwelling that you share with somebody and like probably going to carry it into his next relationship.
Oh my God.
Always wondering if he's going to go home and catch his next person.
And it seemed like the guy was having to go back to work yet. Imagine having to go back to your job.
You got to call in.
What do you call in and say? I caught my wife sleeping with her grandpa.
You say exactly that, and then you'll probably get a couple of days off.
Talked to Laura just a couple of seconds ago, who's going to, and you kind of got to take this out of the equation. It sounds like she's taking this job no matter what now, and she's going to move cross country. So my question is, and she doesn't know what to do. She has a junior in high school, an athlete, great friend group. Do you drag him with against his will, or do you leave him with family friends of his that you know are good people?
They could be good people, but they're not you. You know, like I would make sure I would do everything in my power to make sure somebody's child succeeds and is in good hands. But what's to say 10 years from now, he brings it up? Like, I can't believe you left. You know, I really needed you.
But he sounds like he wants to stay behind. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm sure.
Like,
he's a kid with friends. And he's got his life
17,
established.
You can start making your own decisions, right?
But also, you need your mom. You need your mom around. You need to see her every day.
So you force him to come with.
I wouldn't do that.
You've got one of two choices. You force him to come with, or you leave him behind. You're making the move. It's for your career. You have to do it.
Then I'd force him to come with, which is not ideal.
I think I'd be happy to leave him behind. Frank, what would you do here, man?
I don't think I would take the job.
Yeah,
it sounds like
my option.
Sounds like she already has. Like, she has to take this job. This is something she's definitely doing for the better of her family.
Then I'd say take him with. I spent a lot of time in the military. Then I was in law enforcement. I lost time with my oldest daughter. Now she's grown and we have no relationship.
Oh,
take him with.
Yeah, and that's what I said. And, you know, JJ made the comment and somebody else texted in, yeah, they're going to be in college in just a few months. They won't need you then. They're always going to need you in some capacity, you know, and just to be there for the last few months to make sure that they tie up loose ends with high school and finish on a high note. Like, you don't know what kind of stuff he's going to get into, you know, and he might be a great kid now, but when somebody feels abandoned, that's a slippery slope.
And I'm not saying everybody doesn't have like people they rely on back home, but I feel so strong about his friends' parents. You know what I mean? Like, if Trish and I had to make a move and we had to move to Saudi Arabia and my son, who's a junior in high school, wanted to stay behind, I would be completely fine with about a dozen different sets of parents that we could leave him behind.
And that's great. I know a lot of wonderful parents as well, but they're not me. So I just...
And you know what? It might be different because this is my third. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I wouldn't want to pull away that senior year from him at the place.
You won't
he
ever
loves.
have to worry about that. Your wife would never.
You're right. No, she won't. She'll be like,
She'll be
you'll just squeeze out gutters if you want to for the rest of your life. But you would highly recommend bringing him with, huh?
I would. I think that's time that you're not going to get back. That's and it's not like we live in the old days where you have to place a collect call to see your friends. They can FaceTime. There's easier ways to travel now.
Fly him back.
There's relationships. They can maintain their relationship. But this last year of school, I think, is one of the most important. I think she should take him with.
Right.
I agree. And it's important for, like, in so many aspects. It's important for him to stay with his friends, to have that emotional connection with you, just to feel like that chapter is tied up.
Good insight, man. Hey, I appreciate your time this morning. Hope you have a really good day. Morning, time for a little OPP. Other people's problems come on the radio. We're looking for your help.
Get out with OPP. Can you help me? Get out with OPP. Can you help me? Get out with OPP. Can you help me? Get out with OPP. Everybody.
First off, Jen, thanks for sparing a couple of minutes for us. You want to tell us what's going on with the hubby?
So my husband, you know, he's a great guy, but he is very much a homebody. He loves playing his video games, and I like going out and adventuring.
Yeah.
It gets kind of frustrating, you know.
So you're like this Kathy Griffin situation where you got married and you thought that maybe you would live life after your kids are gone. How old are your kids? Do you have kids?
Yeah, I have a couple. They're teenagers. You know, they're about to start, moving on.
Yeah.
And I will talk to him about flying out, vacationing more, and he doesn't seem interested at all.
Really? So he's good with just like hanging at home.
Yeah.
So my husband is a homebody. He could spend all of his time at home, but he does know that, if I want to go on a vacation, he's got to get into it, and he will. So maybe, I don't know, talk to him a little bit more about how important this is for you. Because obviously she had many conversations like that.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes I think maybe I'll go alone. I want to go to France. I want to go see places. And
what would he say if you said, I'm going to France alone? Would that be the end of your marriage, or would he just be like, fine, see you later?
He'd probably be jealous. I could see him getting upset because he doesn't want me to go have fun, but he also doesn't want me to, you have to have a balance.
See, this seems weird. Just even and I'm going to put you on hold to see what everybody else has to say about this. But if I hear somebody say, he doesn't want me to have fun.
Mm-hmm. That's one thing. If he has said out loud, I don't want you to live a fulfilling life, then you got a problem. Dana had texted while we were talking there, and she said, my husband is like her husband. Our kids are out of college. We both work, but we do have so much free time, and he just wants to be at home. Not sure if this is going to suffice forever. That conversation you start having right now until you don't want to wait until you're like that frustrated, because then you're going to add some anger into that conversation too, and nothing good could come from that.
How would you handle this? You're married, you got a couple of teenage kids, and your husband just doesn't want to go out and do anything. I'm not talking like go to the bar every Friday and Saturday night, but he just doesn't want to go out and do anything. And then if you decide you want to go take that trip to Rome, he's going to get PO'd if you to go without him.
Yeah.
How would you handle this?
Last week, someone lost an eye at bingo.
Bingo.
Bingo what bingo?
Bingo! Here's how this segment works. Kat and I are each looking for something great from you. And you get to come on the show and tell us your story, because maybe you're somebody listening who
eats too much of something, like this guy, 71 years old. His name is Don Gorski, and he was eating 2 Big Macs a day. All right. For 53 years, he just ate in front of all the cameras his 35,000th Big Mac.
You better appreciate this, because I say I had to slow down to 1 a day for 3 days here. driving me nuts. So I guess it's definitely 35,000. It's no more, no less. I've counted every single one. Excuse me.
Oh my God. The stuff we celebrate. But you know what? I really don't mind celebrating things that just are light. You know what I mean? There's so much serious stuff.
This guy isn't 500 pounds.
Yeah.
He's just a normal, other than the way he does his hair and his general demeanor, he's a normalish dude.
So I'm going to do the math here. $5.29 is what.
Yeah, but I think when he started eating these, they were probably like $1.
Oh, yeah, I guess. But if they paid 2 days prices, $185,150.
But that's his primary source of nutrition over, 35 years?
That's crazy. It's only 590 calories.
For a Big Mac?
The average man, so if he had 2 a day, the average man, you have over 2,000, right? A lot of calories.
That's half of his daily intake.
So hopefully he worked in some fruits and veggies somewhere. But
there's lettuce on it.
Okay.
So I'm looking for anyone listening who just never got their driver's license. Kat was playing this audio earlier this morning, and it was Trump talking about, like, he can't drive, right? Because he's the president.
But if he drove, he'd drive it.
But if I do, I'd be the best. And it's like immediately, he just couldn't turn it off. So that's what I'm looking for. Anyone listening who, for whatever reason, never got your driver's license. If either of these fit, you can call us at 320-251-1047. We'll bring you on the show. Barb's first through right away. Good morning, Barb. How are you?
Good morning. I'm doing good.
Good. We're great, too. Thanks for asking. Which one do you fit?
Leave Barb alone.
This time I fit JJ.
Okay, all right. So you never got your driver's license, ever?
But it's not me.
Who is it?
It's my boys. Both my boys don't want to drive.
Why?
And
so that's
one's
the thing.
33 and one's 31, and they don't want to drive. They don't want to get nothing. No.
Why is this?
Why. And how do they get places? They don't live in like New York or Chicago.
No, it's usually the mom taxi.
Okay, so
at 35,
do you have a mom tax? Because I would have a I would have a chauffeur fee for sure.
I make my kids, when they get paid and stuff like that, they'll pay me like $40 for bringing them, for the week or whatever.
Wow, Barb.
Yeah.
You are much better than I.
30 years old, giving you $40 a week to drive them around?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
This is bananas.
It's funny.
Do you see it ending like anytime soon? Neither of them have the aspiration of one day getting a car so they could drive their kids around?
No.
What do they do?
My one son...
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
My one son lives in Baudette.
Okay.
And he's got one of those electric bikes, so that's how he gets around.
All right.
Okay. Yep, that's fine.
But what happens?
And my other son, who knows?
What happens when you're not available? Like, let's say you're going to work or the grocery store and they need a ride right away. What do? They just hoof it?
They call their girlfriends.
Oh, I guess.
Oh, and what do their girlfriends think of this? They're good with it?
So I guess they're fine.
I guess if I knew my man was not able to get anywhere, I'd know where he always was.
Always all right. You never have to guess where he is.
Yep.
All right.
That's really interesting. I'd like to have a conversation with them. If you're ever with them, say, Kat and JJ want to talk to you.
Yeah, and what do they say? Your house is going to be your biggest investment. Probably your education will be your second biggest. But for a lot of people, it's going to be a car.
Yeah.
So they don't have, they give you $40 a week, but they don't have a payment. They don't have insurance. But just the freedom of being able to go somewhere if you wanted to go there seems like it's a little crazy.
Yeah. That's interesting.
Yeah, I know, and it's funny, but, it's gotten to the point now where, I'm kind of used to it.
What would it take for your neighbors to do to make you to consider to move?
I would have to say, for me to feel unsafe, like at all, my life being threatened, or my child or my husband, somebody that would be harassing, that would be maybe the only thing. I can pretty much ignore bad lawn care, which I have.
So if they're just trashy and they've got like a bed in the front yard and maybe a Camaro missing a wheel, like out in the backyard.
We're like a day away from that with a couple of my neighbors.
Really?
But I don't know. I've always looked at, like, you own a home. You may not have all the resources to make it incredible, but you might have legs and arms to mow. You might be able to do that. I just think take pride in one of your biggest investments on the planet.
Yeah, outside of your education, it probably is.
I don't get it. I don't get when people just let things go.
Ran into some former neighbors over the weekend, and I'm like, how's the old neighborhood? And they're like, everybody's moving. And I'm like, why? And they said, well, we got some people that moved in that are not exactly the most exceptional neighbors a human could want.
What makes them not exceptional?
It sounds like they're single in their 30s, partying like they're 19.
Got it.
Like a lot of that going around and a lot of cars in and out. And he's like, I don't know what a drug deal looks like, but if I had to suspect, I'd think they're slinging some meth.
I would say if a car swings by for about 60 seconds, something seedy is going on.
I was thinking about this. Like, I love our new home, but if I found out our neighbors were slinging meth, it would probably make me consider moving. I'm not a narc, right?
Yeah.
I'm not going to, unless, again, like you said, my family is not safe. Mm-hmm. But I'm looking for anyone who's left their own home. Like, you uprooted you and your family because your neighbors were so horrible.
So the house that we had, our first house, was like a twin home. So it was joined by garages, and we lived next door to just this cute little old lady. Her name was Ellen. And she lived alone and just was so kind to Liam. And it was just a really great starter home. Awesome neighbors. And then hold on.
Bless you.
Then we move. And I guess the neighbor that moved into, or the person that moved into our home was that neighbor. Was the one that everyone was like, oh my God, gross. Let his dogs go in the street. There was like poop in the street, just shouldn't have been a homeowner.
So how bad was the neighbor that forced you to move? That's why I want to bring Carrie on the show. Tell us about it real quick.
When I was younger, my sister and we lived in this house, and across the street, the neighbor would literally use binoculars to stare into the other neighbor's house.
Right.
And she'd set up mirrors in her house to keep an eye on everybody surrounding her place.
Cute.
So one day, we caught her staring at our house with the binoculars through her window. So my sister and I decided to moon her through our window.
Get her back.
Yeah. Well done.
Yeah, she just really wanted to be nosy. She was one of those nosy neighbors.
So no, I kind of understand that. It's your neighborhood, right? You want to know what's going on around there.
Yeah. Okay, so one instance that I thought was really weird was my friend, her mom, and I think I've told this story before. Her mom would wake up and they had this big bay window in their kitchen, and she would go and get some coffee, and she looked out, and our other friend lived across the street, right across the street, just paces away. And our other friend's dad would come outside, get the mail, get the paper, go bring the garbages down in his robe, and he would see her in the window and flash his window. And he did that countless times, enough for her to say this is a pattern, and then she filmed it. And she had some of the moms over, including my mom, to say, what should I do? Come watch this video. What should I do? And what's weird is that they just kept living there. I don't even know what happened.
She didn't go to the cops with this.
I don't know. They didn't share it with the kids until I found out years and years later that this happened. And I don't think anything came of it. I don't know if they went and talked to his wife, you better get your man under control. But it was so weird that neither of them moved. How could you live like that?
She probably liked what she saw.
I mean, he wasn't a bad looking guy, but still, it was just so odd. And he never did anything that would make us feel uncomfortable as kids, like I would remember that.
He was just goofing on her.
But it was just, that's not a goof. That's such a guy thing to say. That's like perverted.
Well, don't stare at me out the window then.
She was having her cup of coffee, enjoying her morning.
She could have had that anywhere. She was looking for an iPhone. She kept coming
You're
back.
ridiculous.
Don't think about your current house because I know that was a new build, but the one that you moved into prior than that, you guys had, what do they call it, like a twin home where you share garages, that wall in the garage,
wall,
right?
Yeah.
When you moved in there, you weren't the first owners, were you?
No, but it was maybe built in 2008.
Did you find anything funky in there when you moved in?
Just a bunch of spiders. We bombed the whole thing. And then we bombed it before we moved in. And then I hired a cleaner to go in, wipe down the walls, everything like that. Totally worth doing because I could sleep at night knowing all the daddy long legs were gone. Because the person that was like showing the house often would leave the windows open for like the breeze
Just to let
and
it air
clear it
out,
out.
sure.
But the spiders would come in. I'm like, oh my God. But it was a great starter home. We loved it.
So my wife and I are doing our annual bingo night last night. So it's us and, it's just trying to, be a local and have some fun. And during one of the games, I overheard this younger couple. I mean, they must have been like newlyweds. They were maybe in their early 20s and they had just bought an older farmhouse.
Yeah.
And they were telling somebody else, must have been friends, what they found. They went into like the attic. There was 10 garbage bags of hair and 2 vacuums that had like older vacuums that had the big bags on it, all full of hair.
What kind of hair?
Well,
human hair?
Yeah,
like this was maybe a salon. Maybe she cut hair at her house.
Maybe. I got the impression it was like dog hair. And then that got that thing in the back of my throat going,
gross.
But I thought we'd, kind of ask a little bit, when you moved into your place, what's the funky stuff that you found? Now, I got a text from Amy. She said, I'm a realtor and we show properties often. In this one place, it was a room over their garage. I walked in with a couple and found the previous couple's swing still hanging there.
You have to have a pro install that. Did you know that?
You just got to hit a stud, right?
I have a friend. She didn't install a XXX swing, is what she said. She installed something for her to read in.
Yeah,
look out the window. I was
it's amazing how those have multiple uses, right? How about this one? Up in the attic, we found hidden
what?
A .22 caliber pistol with blood right next to it.
Okay. Time to call the authorities.
Do you? If you go into your new house,
you can solve a cold case. If you say,
you watch too much of that crap.
Come and swab and check this out. Check for prints. You cause a case.
Hey, good morning. How are you?
Hello. Is it the same person?
I don't know. We got something real funky going on with our phones. Okay. I don't know what the deal is. But if you want to call or text at 320-251-1047, I just want to go through these. And then I saw a TikTok this morning as I was kind of trying to do some research for this. And this one guy was remodeling a home that was built in the 1930s.
Yeah.
And there was a dead, decomposing body in the basement wall.
Oh, my God.
Are
you sure it's not one of those where they remodeled and left a fake skeleton where it says, hey, you found me?
No. It was an actual decomposing body. And my thought is, how well insulated up are those walls that smell, of a human corpse almost decomposed never got out?
Maybe it did, and they've been looking everywhere for it, like we did with Grandma's house, looking for the smell everywhere.
What was the smell? Did we ever find
It had to have been a mouse that went behind the fridge because we went through every closet.
But the smell just went away and you never found a mouse?
The smell has finally gone away. It stunk for a good month. So it was the decomposition, and then now it's probably just like little mouse skeletons.
Will a mouse decompose in a month?
I feel like it would take less time.
I thought it'd take like a year.
To decompose?
Yeah.
Behind a hot refrigerator? And I bet that's where the smell came. It was heating up.